Our story also continues on page 5 of the Daily Nation today, where uncertainty, of course, looms over the debate tonight. You can see it over there. And just to read you what the organizers are saying, unconfirmed attendance, preparations for the debate had been finalized, although none of the running mates had confirmed attendance. All presidential running mates were invited and all are expected to turn up today for the debate, expected to be aired live on top media stations. And just to give you also what is tucked away, the planned presidential debate and running mates debates are slated for next week, Monday, this is today, and today, of course, respectively, have been thrown into confusion and may not take place after all. And I think this is really casting aspersions on this. This comes after the section of presidential candidates and their running mates yesterday threatened to boycott the debate that was supposed to be held at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa in Karen. And this also is a question that we're asking you today. Do you think this is very pivotal to have and crucial to have these debates in the country, right? What do you think, right? Do you think the running mates debate is important? Let us hear what you have to say. You can hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is a Twitter handle. AM Live NTV is a profile name on Facebook, and 20505 is the SMS portal. Do you think it is important for the running mates to show up for this debate today? Right, we have our panelists this morning with us. We've created FaceTime with Sabina Chege. She is the woman rep Murang'a County. Also, we do have with us Dr. Agnes Zani. She is a Secretary General of ODM. Also, we do have with us Balozi Kembi Gitura. He's a senator from Murang'a. We have with us Professor Anyang Nyong'o, senator from Kisumu. And also, we do have with us Dr. Shem Ochuodho, who is the global leader of Kenya Diaspora Alliance. Let's begin with you, Professor Anyang Nyong'o, because also you've been in attendance of a debate last week in Kisumu, as of course the gubernatorial candidates as well. How, first of all, did it pan out for you for that particular debate?
Morning, Debarl.
Morning to you.
I think it was very good. I think a debate like that is necessary for the voters to see who the candidate is in the first place, in the context of other candidates. I think that's an important visual experience. And secondly, to hear from the candidates what the policies are. And then to be questioned about their policies on TV live. I think seeing somebody ana qua ana is much more different from hearing. And I think that those contesting for positions like this, it's important that they do so. But much more important that I think the candidates or those being interviewed should know the rules of the game from the organizers. I think in our case, Joa Gay was very good. I mean, he called us ahead of time, explained the rules of the game. And we arrived there on time and continued to discuss what was going to happen. And I think he kept to his word. And I think the questioning was very fair, very well spread out. And the people of Kisumu saw exactly what we were offering. It's unfortunate that Jack Runguma, the incumbent governor, did not show up in spite of promising the standard newspapers that he would show up at the last moment. So I think that's kind of dishonest on his part. And I think it doesn't augur well for his candidature.
All right, so when we see also some of these candidates are becoming gun-shy, just cutting it too close. When we're having the debate, today we hear them pulling out last minute or even sending a representative, as we've heard also from social media and of course also read elsewhere from the mainstream media, that Kimani Ichung'wah should be presenting or representing the deputy president today because the deputy president is barnstorming, you know, the country with campaigns as well. Let's hear from Dr. Agnes Zani, this likelihood of the deputy president not appearing today and sending Kimani Ichung'wah, do you think augurs well with, you know, maybe as for him, for his political posture as well?
Thank you, Debarl. I think you said it very clearly that we haven't had confirmations. It's already about 6:30 on the day of the debate. This is a national event. It doesn't even have to do with the individuals themselves because, one, it gives Kenyans a chance to understand who their leaders are, to understand their manifestos, and it should be the individual themselves who are there, not somebody else speaking on their behalf, because that person speaking on their behalf is not going to be that leader. And I think Kenyans want to hear more about these manifestos. They want to hear explicit explanations being made, because a manifesto really means this person is giving their own interpretation of the implementation of that manifesto, which becomes very, very clear. For NASA, I would like our deputy presidential candidate to be there so that he can articulate very clearly our NASA principles on nation building, on state building, on devolution, on poverty, on relationships, in foreign relationships and devolution, which are very key for NASA. So I think when this comes from the deputies, it's going to be very critical because these are going to be very, very instrumental. You know, Debarl, in our constitution now, the deputy president is an entrenched position.
Yes.
Not like before where they could be changed anyhow. He is the running mate, but he starts at the beginning and remains right through. So this therefore becomes a very instrumental person in the implementation. And indeed, a lot of delegation might have to be made to the deputy president. So it is key, I think, for Kenyans to hear from this person. And as Professor said, it's really a chance for people to gauge their own understanding of how that person has internalized that policy, and also have a chance to ask about gray area that haven't been made very explicit, for example, in the manifesto, and this individual should be able to explain. And then I don't know whether you're saying it's all the 8 who haven't confirmed up to this time, because I think that now really points a very gloom picture. This is not what the expectation would be from Kenyans.
Right, but we've seen also when we see one side of a divide pulling out, we have also the other side of a divide pulling out as well. Do we get an assurance from you?
I think Professor Anyang Nyong'o put it very well. The other side of his divide pulled out. He didn't pull out. We expect that our side should not pull out, that we should actually be still able to move forward and articulate our views to the Kenyans. Because we're speaking to the Kenyans, it's nice to have both the protagonists there, because then you can have a counter and, you know, to and fro answering towards each other. You know, you can have a counterpoint to a particular point that has been raised. That would be, I think, the genesis of it, and especially with the 2 big coalitions, that is the Jubilee and NASA, it would be good if those both are present. But I think if one is not, unless for specific reasons that have been given, and decisions will be made, Debarl, at various levels, but if I was making that decision, I'd say that that other person still needs to be there and articulate this to Kenyans. Kenyans still want to hear from that person. And I think it really portrays very badly when somebody has not turned up. It really portrays badly, and I think some of that rating will begin to go down just because of not turning up.
Right,
because this is something that was given a long time ago.
Yes.
And the dates were very, very clear. So really, it's a question of nobody is out of the country. Mombasa, Malindi, Kisumu are 1 hour away from the city center, unless we don't think this is a big, and this is a big national responsibility. I think each and every individual who is meant to take part in that debate should take part in that debate today.
Balozi, why do we have this cavalier attitude towards this presidential debates, even with the running mates today? Because it seems this is not really part of their campaign strategy, so to speak. Yet debates are crucial, even in mature democracies in the entire world.
You must allow me, Debarl, to say in the first place that I've not been following this issue about the presidential debate or the running mates debate, and I'm being very honest, because I've been in the county trying to push my agenda and carrying out my campaigns. But having said that, yes, I'd like to reiterate what Senator Professor Anyang Nyong'o has said, that depending on the rules of engagement and the agreement on how it's going to be conducted, I think these debates are very, very important to myself, because the people, the electorate, the people that are finally going to cast their vote get a view, you know, a bird's view of into the person that is seeking the mandate from them. And they're able to see their mode of articulation of issues and the issues, the understanding of the issues. Because there are some people actually who want to lead but do not understand what leadership is about. And they have no agenda. And if you push them, you find that they just want leadership for the sake of leadership. It's not an issue of manifesto, because anybody can draw a manifesto. A manifesto is just that. And if you look at the manifestos that have been done, if you delve into them, you find that the difference is very little in truth. So my view is that debates are important, and that actually these debates should cascade down to the other lower seats, like they did in Kisumu for the governor. It should be done countrywide, if you ask me, because there is a lot of rhetoric. People talk a lot and they say lots of things, but in truth, there is no substance in them. And I've personally said, and I would like to repeat it, that even for seats like senatorial positions in the counties, we should have kind of town hall meetings, you know, town hall debates where the leadership in the county is represented. There's a good representation of the leadership in the county across the board. And the people who want to get those positions, be they senatorial, be they women representative, be they governors, you know, are given a forum at which they articulate their issues and tell the people what it is that they're bringing on the table. Because there is lots and lots of propaganda in electioneering, as I'm sure you're aware. And this is what we want to sieve out. This is what we don't want to see, you know, influencing elections. So my view is that these debates are very, very important. I don't know why people are withdrawing. Maybe they're not agreed on rules of engagement or on how these things are going to be conducted. Maybe there are controversies about this. I do not know, and I'm being very sincere that I do not know the background of all this, why it's happening. But my personal view is that debates at that level, subject to the things that I've said and all things being equal, in my view, these debates are very important because they help the electorate to know who it is that they are dealing with, who is offering to serve them in the future, and what it is that he or she is offering.
All right, let's hear also from Sabina Chege. Showing up and not, of course, failing to show up. Still, you're sending a statement. How crucial is it for you, from your own perception, to have this debate?
I guess these debates, as my colleagues have said, they're very important, but at the same time, it is important for better preparation, and especially for the people who are going to participate in the debate. This year, because of the number of candidates, there was a plan that they are not going all to be at the same platform, and some of the candidates felt that this was not fair, and they needed all of them to be at the same platform. And so I believe as we talk about the debates, we have had exposure and people listening to the manifestos, interacting with these people on their political rallies. And the big question is, on the deputy president's debate, is it about the individual or about the party? And I want to look at the what is going on social media about Ishongwa representing the deputy president. I'm not so sure whether that is official or not. But at the end of the day...
But I had himself actually confirming that, yeah, that is a case. So...
Well,
this is not just propaganda from the social media, it is true.
That's why I said, what is the aim or what is the agenda of the debate? Is it about the party? Because anybody would go and talk about the party manifesto, or is it about the individual as the position of the deputy president?
It is the running mates debate. So it is not a representation, you know, of the running mates. It is actually a running mate debate.
That's it. And so the question about balancing, the question about the timing, the question about what is in the content of the debate, I think those are issues that we should be looking at. I am not so sure, as Professor Anyang Nyong'o said, about the preparation, about the questions that were supposed to be asked, whether they were well briefed or not. There's a lot of gaps in this whole thing that maybe we on this side don't know. And maybe for the ones who are going to withdraw, they should give clear directions why they feel it's not important. But I think for Kenyans, it is a good chance to interact with these candidates. I think, as also the ambassador said, these are also opportunities for Kenyans to know the real people, what they have to offer for Kenyans, and it will be important if they would all turn up.
Right, but from what I understand, of course, from the thematic areas that we have or they have been briefed on the thematic areas that they are going to draw questions from. So if it's a matter of information, I think they are fully aware that what they're going to cover and the questions that are going to be drawn are from this thematic areas that they've been communicated, with. So I don't think the issue of not having full information should arise at this time. And I think also, as you say, if they're not really fully aware of the rules of engagement, it would be unfair. And I think it is not the case.
Debarl, in the past week, we lost two prominent Kenyans. Allow me to record briefly condolences to the family of Honorable Nicholas Biwott and Ambassador Dr. Kiplagat. Having said that, I want to agree with my colleagues here. These debates are so crucial and important that I think all the candidates, whether the presidential or the running mates, should be prepared to participate in them. I should say, maybe Kenyans may not recall, the talk of presidential debate actually started with the Kenya community abroad and an affiliate organization of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance in 2002, when with the support of USNED, National Endowment for Democracy, they wanted to facilitate a debate. At that time, the major candidates were President Kibaki and President Uhuru then was a candidate for KANU. It's unfortunate that it didn't take place, but I'm glad it generated a conversation that the media houses has taken up, and I must compliment the media houses for bringing it this far. Just a little correction that it won't be the first time running mates are taking part in a debate. I was a running mate, as some may recall, in the last election, and we had a debate organized by the religious leadership. But I am glad this is the first major one that is being done, and I would want to encourage the candidates to turn up. A problem that has happened in Kenya, I think we have over-glorified our leaders. Even with the new constitution, our leaders, some of them still see themselves as our bosses. But Kenyans must bring them to the stage where we look at them as our servants. If we get to that stage where it's the people to be glorified, and the constitution is very clear in the preamble, that the power is with the people, not the leaders, then I think the leaders would be more answerable. So my take would be, I think the debates are very important, and I would agree with the organizers, there should be no representation, because it's not the representatives we are electing, it's the leaders, those personalities, whether they're presidential or running mates. There may have been a little difference, and I think the number, coincidentally, even the last election we had 8. So I don't think the number really should be the issue. And once people are cleared to run for office, we take them all to be equal. But again, in Kenya, we have a case of all animals are equal, but others are more equal than others. So I think I would encourage all candidates to show up. Let Kenyans have an indictment on those who choose not to show up, because it would be a disrespect to the voter.
All right. So, yes.
If I may just add, I think we had the same discussion when we have precedents when we were preparing for the presidential debate that ended up being pushed because some of these issues were discussed then that they hadn't been engaged in. And then we got reassurance from the media that interaction had begun with the parties and the speakers, yes, so that these rules of engagement have been put into place. I think we should get to a point where we don't even need, apart from specific rules about speaking, we don't even really need to have pre-prepared topics. We don't need to have pre-prepared everything. These are leaders who are coming into this country. They know the issues very, very well. People should be able to just address any issues from any point of view and be able to do that. I think that is the challenge of leadership, that you can actually come up and talk about, articulate issues that are coming on board. So yes, the fact that you're even moving one step ahead to really give the topics, I think that is one step ahead. But I think we need to be able also to be able to debate freely. So it's a good thing that you have done that, given them these topics, and therefore there shouldn't be any sort of feeling that there's going to be an ambush or we don't know what is coming up. Yes. That is already very clear. Then the second one is about the personalities. We have 8 people here. It would be important, for example, to listen to Anyang Nyong'o, who was a deputy running mate, who was a running mate in the Mombasa governorship last time. Now he's a presidential running mate. Just to listen to his views, to listen to people like Miriam Mutua, who we might not have interacted with, yes, Titus Getuni, for example. So this is exciting for Kenyans. And I think the lack of enthusiasm is already a problem in itself, because I think this is the marketplace where now would be all coming out and really feeling that we need to be able to articulate our views, be heard, be interviewed, be questioned, and be able to give those off-the-cuff answers and responses that therefore show what our leadership skills are all about.
Right. Prof.
I just want to add one more thing.
Yes, please.
I think part of the rules of the game that I think should be understood, which the public, I think, is embracing, is that this debate cannot be delegated to somebody else. It is personal to the leader, because you are looking at qualities of leadership. And as I said, you must be there to be seen. You cannot be seen through somebody else. I mean, we know that God can be seen through Jesus Christ, but this one is not possible.
Because Jesus Christ is still God. Secondly, that's for another day.
Secondly, I think it's important to note that if you are going to be absent, the reason should be known to the public why you cannot attend. And one of the reasons that the public is not going to forgive is that you are busy somewhere. Because as all the panel says, this is so important as a business in the electoral process that you should give it as even more weight than anything else. So I think that those two rules of the game from the public perception, at least I was told when we debated in Kisumu discussing with people, should be taken by the candidates very serious. In that regard, I think what Shem is saying is very important. When you are offering yourself for leadership, it's a question of knowing that you are kind of putting yourself at the slaughtering table of the public, to be opened and seen. And I think that should not be inhibited by any kind of big man syndrome.
Right, talking of big man syndrome, I think that's where we need also to drill deeper a bit, because it seems there is people in this country who they take themselves to be superior than others, right? And this has been also an Herculean task for the entire secretariat when it comes to preparing the debates, because they want to feel that they should be accorded maybe the sort of also the media perception that we've created, the two horse races that we have in this country. And so if we have other candidates appearing with them, then they tend to feel no, we are the candidates. So the spotlight, we are the people who should be soaking up the spotlight. How can we debunk this perception of relegating other people as second banana?
I think there is let's also be fair. If you look at the opinion polls, the public is paying more attention to the leading two candidates. I was saying the article that I wrote in the Star the other day, that one of the things you have to understand that these people are walking television stations. Wherever they go, the media is following them. So they're not really anxious to use the debate for publicity, but they are anxious to use the debate to be put in front of the public, to be questioned and to put forth their views. Now look, if then they are going to sit there for 2 hours and then more attention is going to be given to candidates who do not really, to be frank, stand any chance of getting up there and becoming leaders, I think that should be handled very sensitively, because real, I mean, in politics is not missionary work. Politics is real suffering at times. I mean, you do things at the expense of a lot of other things. I mean, this is what the public must understand. When people really offer to serve the public, there are so many other things you have to sacrifice. One of them is time for your family, time for yourself. And if you go to a debate like that and you want to give it the best of yourself, and then you know that people must make a decision on the basis of 2 or 3 leading candidates, by gosh, give them time to be questioned by the public, and not some fringe candidate who really doesn't even campaign. I mean, I'm surprised when I was in Kisumu, I met some of the people there. I've not even seen the campaign trail. I haven't even seen their manifestos anywhere, but they arrived with some manifesto, I don't know from where. They are not even physical. So look, let's be frank and be honest about this, and not kind of be sentimental about it.
Right, but also you talk about equal, treating everyone equally, yeah. And we know, of course, given the historical, if history will bear us witness, we have these candidates have been there. They have the wherewithal and the might and main to actually, flex the muscle when it comes to campaigning. We have other candidates, they don't have the wherewithal and might and main to actually do that as well. And this should be a sporting chance for them as well. Just as Prof is saying, he's never seen some of them because of a manifesto. He doesn't even know about their manifesto in the first place. But this is indicative of the fact that, yes, maybe they don't have the might and main financially that other candidates do have. So when they're given a sporting chance like this, isn't it fair that they appear with others, from your own estimation?
Honestly, fairness is subjective. It's not something that you can look at objectively. It's subjective. Because I think it's also important to take into account the realities about the times we are living in, about the politics of the day. And we may pretend as much as we want to do, but there are only 2 running serious. I mean, there are only 2 horses in this race, and that is the president and Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I mean, let's face it. And if any one of the 2 pulls out of the debate, for instance, I want to assure you that the viewership is going to be very, very little. People will not have interest. If there is representation, again, the viewership will be very little, because, like people have said, it's not about articulating the manifesto. It's not about your own, it's actually about you. It's about you and what you believe in, what you stand for, and what it is that you propose to do. So and it's also not a question, you cannot talk about equality, really, because if you are showing at 1% in the ratings, and we are only 3 weeks to the elections, and you want to spend time, I mean, I honestly think that that will not be presidential debate, if you ask me.
Right.
That will not be, because at 1%, the chances of catching up in the next 3 weeks and being the leading candidate, it's next to zero.
Okay.
So it's not just a question about seeing people on screen and them telling you who they are and what they stand for. It's about leadership in this nation. It's about a person capable of being elected now to be the president of the republic or to be the running mate of the president of the republic. So in my view, if there is time and space, I see no issue about having 8 people articulating their issues, if there is. But I am also a practical person, and I know that people want to deal with practical issues, and they know exactly what it is they expect. But my parting shot is this: if these leading candidates withdraw from this debate, then I can assure you that there'll be very little interest in it, because they want to hear what their president is saying and what the main opponent to his candidature is saying about this.
Right. Sabina?
I think from what we've seen and followed, and we have now 20 days to go, I think this has been a creation of the media, because also we have seen a lot of focus on the main presidential candidates. And so I was just looking at the names here of the running mates, and some of them have not even had them. And so the interest of Kenyans, has been their own creation of the media, and so the media has to eat its humble pie, because they are the ones who have actually given a lot of attention. If you look at even the news coverage, there's a lot of attention on the main, as they are called, the 2 horses. And so the main interest has been on the 2 candidates. And if today the Deputy President, William Ruto, will feel like he doesn't need to appear on the debate, maybe he has also been given a lot of time by the same media, and he has articulated some of the issues that he's meant to articulate now. And so he finds it might be a waste of time. He has been in several TV stations. He's been given to like a whole hour by himself, and he has been able to articulate issues that he feels as an individual and also as a party that they are going to do to the Kenyans. And so then it will be, the question will be, if he comes back again for this debate, what value does it add to him or to the party or to Kenyans? Is he going to repeat himself? Is it the same things that they have been saying at the rallies? Yes. And so I think these are the questions that we should ask ourselves. At the end of the day, yes, it is good to have a debate. We have even seen even other countries where we have had presidential debates, and there have been who has won, the issues that came up. At the end of the day, do those debates translate to how people are going to vote? Or is it the influence on what we go and say in the political rallies? So at the end of the day, I think it's important we ask ourselves, yes, it is good to have the debate, but what value does it add to Kenyans? What value does it even add to the candidates? So would they rather go to the ground to meet the people and talk to them directly, or would they be on a TV station debating and being asked? And the people who are asking the questions, they have set an agenda. We've also seen a lot of influence in the media, maybe from even the people who ask questions. We've seen candidates can mobilize their supporters on the kind of questions to ask, on the kind of interaction they're going to do on the social media. So at the end of the day, is this stage managed? Does it add value? How helpful is it to the Kenyans? And I think we need to move on. If it's not going to happen, so what changes? We have 20 days to go. If the debate will not happen, if the main running mates are not going to appear, and they feel it's not important for them or for the party, then what's next?
Right. A few seconds now to 7 o'clock on the nose. We take a short break right now, but we'll circle back with Shem Ochuodho to continue on this particular debate, and of course looking at a raft of other issues as well. But before also we take a short break, a tender reminder on the question that we're asking you today. Do you think it is important for the running mates to show up for this debate? Right? Do you think it is important for the running mates to show up for this debate? If you're waking up right now, remember today is slated for the running mates, the presidential debate. The running mates will be taking to the stage, and of course will be beaming that live for you. That will be happening from Catholic University of East Africa. We'll take a short break right now. Don't go away. Much more coming up on the other side of a break. Let's see how the weather is shaping up today. continue apace with the conversation. The presidential running mates televised debate is scheduled for today. Now, uncertainty still surrounds who will actually be in attendance, despite there being 8 candidates to deputize the 8 presidential candidates. Incumbent Deputy President William Ruto appeared to cast doubt on his attendance through his Twitter handle that he indicated he was not aware of the debate. Earlier, President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga indicated they will not attend the presidential debate that was scheduled for July the 10th, but later moved to July 24th, following the uncertainty occasioned by a court case filed by Abduba Dida, one of the presidential aspirants challenging it. While this easily takes the age of the debate, expectation is high that their deputies will not follow suit. Not only is our democracy still young, weakened institutions mean that only a televised debate that will be able to reach millions of Kenyans wherever they are offers them the chance to scrutinize the men, all are men, who are potentially presidents in waiting. There is no denying many of them are not known to Kenyans, and financial constraints deny them the chance of organizing high-voltage public rallies across the country. Besides being loyal deputies, they should demonstrate that they can lead in the likelihood of the bosses getting incapacitated. Through the debate, Kenyans can easily get to know them and gauge their capabilities. And that's what we're asking you this morning. How crucial do you think they should be appearing for this presidential debate? That is a question that we're asking you this morning. The running mates will be having their debates today. Do you think it is important for the running mates to show up for this debate? Hit us on Twitter. AM Live NTV is a Twitter handle. AM Live NTV is a profile name on Facebook, and 20505 is our SMS portal. Already we can see the rush of tweets. Usha Jose will be reading them much later in the course of the program. But we're still continuing with the conversation briefly before we head over to other issues as well. And I've created FaceTime this morning with Sabina Chege. She's a women rep from Murang'a County. Also, we have Dr. Agnes Zani. She is the Secretary General of ODM. We do have with us Balozi Kembi Gitura, who is a senator from Murang'a. Also, we do have with us Professor Anyang Nyong'o, who is a senator from Kisumu, and Dr. Shem Ochuodho, who is a global leader of Kenya Diaspora Alliance. Right, before we took a short break, I'd promised that we'll circle back with you. Let's begin with you.
Debarl, I was just looking at the Constitution, Article 10, in terms of national values. It talks of inclusiveness, equity. In fact, it goes further and adds equality.
Yes.
So these are important attributes that we need to think about. But I agree with my colleagues that, yes, in this particular race, 2 candidates stand ahead clearly of the others.
Yes.
But for me, I would attribute it more to, why is that so? We need to clean and have a proper framework within which there can be fair competition.
Yes.
In a past session, I've shared, in my view, what are the major 5 points to rig or unrig election. Kindly, the Nation newspapers carried that article in one of its previous editions.
Yes.
Just 2 of them. One of them is the number of people who are disenfranchised. I take the position that 30 million Kenyans, 30% of eligible voters, 3 million of them being diaspora, who are disenfranchised. That automatically disadvantages 2 candidates. There are 2 candidates. There's Jeff Kaluyu from the diaspora from the US, and Ekura Aukot, who has been in Liberia, diaspora, who is based from Liberia. Clearly, if those 3 million diaspora were to vote, I'm not sure how many of them would go for their own and how many would go elsewhere. But more importantly was the second point of finance. It's probably only because these 2 major coalitions have got money, regardless of how that money has been acquired. So in future, we need to find a way where the ground is made level so that all the candidates can compete on fair ground, including media coverage and so on and so forth. But perhaps finally in this regard, it's unfortunate this year we're only having 1 presidential debate. I think a raft of them are important. And when we rely on pollsters, I'm very comfortable with Ipsos on Innovate. I really can't say much about others. But perhaps the organizers could have their own ways of measuring the kind of popularity that we're talking about, because we must also interrogate who is the watchman's watchdog, because sometimes when you go by certain statistics, they may mislead. Just as an example, in '97, I was a founding member of NDP. My candidate then didn't do too well, but currently is one of the leading ones. We need to give also those young upcoming Kenyans an opportunity to introduce themselves to the public. But what I would have done if I was the organizer was a staged approach whereby the so-called fringe candidates, you would get a mechanism to filter, sieve, and get maybe 1 or 2 of them to be together with the big two, so that a number 4 or 5 or 3 would have been a much more exciting number. But that would only be possible if there are cascaded debates instead of just one, like we're going to have this year.
Right.
But as it were, again, I want to add my voice to the other colleagues. Let
you.
all the candidates turn up and give Kenyans an opportunity.
All right, let's hear from Dr. Zani as we're winding up on it.
Thank you. I think Diba set the precedent for this by going to court to look for their democratic space and going by that Article 10, or, of equality and representation. Yes, it's right for them to be there, though the issues that we're discussing in terms of the opinion polls and the popularity also are very, very key. And I think that's why probably the organizers, I think this was a debate that also started with the presidential debate, have decided, I think, to have two debates. This is not clear yet, because from the standard, there's a debate at 5:30 and then there's another one at 8 p.m. So we don't know whether the candidates are all going to be together in all these 2 debates, or whether we're going to have groupings of candidates, maybe the 6 at 5:30 and maybe the 2 at 8 p.m. The Nation presents a different scenario. The debate here is from 5:30 to 10 continuously.
Yeah, we have 2 sets of debates, I think, from the news.
If we have 2 sets of debate, I think it helps us to clarify the various issues, and then we can have them, sort of contained within a particular number of candidates. But I think I just want to reiterate that it's very important also that this gives them a platform to debate with each other. It's very different when you go to a rally and you articulate your views and your manifestos and your ideas and what you want to do. But it's different when you have to face off and now be able to discuss. But I think the rules have to be there in place that this becomes a very meaningful discussion. Yeah.
Right. So the sense of entitlement for the two, you think is warranted?
I don't think it's a sense of entitlement. I think calling it a sense of entitlement is missing the point completely. I think what we're saying is that clearly the polls are showing that these are the forerunners, that they need more time. It's going to be unfair for them to stand for about 2 hours waiting to speak only for about 10 minutes. We've also seen what has happened with the other debates, where we've had some of the candidates come in and really come in to make personal attacks because they haven't had the time to face off individually and bring it on the table in the studio and miss the critical point. So I think it's not really big man syndrome. I think it's just the logistics. And if you look at the other democracies, even in America had more than 2 running mates, deputy president candidates, but we only had the 2. The media there was able to sieve. I think moving forward, we need to be able to sieve so that we have cascaded debates. We could have debates building up to the main debate, but at the main debate, obviously have the 2 main forerunners in that debate. I think that will contextualize squarely the issues and then make it a very, very focused debate.
Right. I think
you have to make up your mind. I mean, the organizers must make up your mind. If by having all the running mates debate together, you are going to risk the 2 leading running mates not turning up. So what decision do you have to make? I think it's better to be prudent and modest and say, look, if by having all of them, the 2 leading ones are not going to turn up, and as the deputy speaker says, then people will not pay attention to the debate. Advertisers will not advertise either. So the best thing to do is be realistic, say, okay, let's have the 2 leading running mates have a debate. Like in the States, when there's a presidential election, many people stand as president, by the way, not just Clinton and Trump. There were many. But then when they organized the debate, they said Clinton and Trump are going to debate each other. And the whole nation is hooked to the screen.
Yes.
You don't get some workers' parties of California candidate coming there. I mean, who knows the workers' party of California? It's good for the Californians to know they have somebody running as president.
That's why we have the 2 sets of debate.
That's what I'm saying. I think the 2 sets of debate, to me, is realistic. It's realistic for the point of view of the TV stations, because they know they will get a lot of commercials when the 2 leading candidates are debating. It's also fair to the public. The public want to see the 2 leading candidates fighting each other. Let's be fair to the public too. Don't bore the public with some fringe candidate from a party in Lamu called the Lamu Freedom Party. I mean, yes, it's important for debating, but the public is not really concerned about the Lamu Freedom Party. I mean, let's be serious.
You must allow me.
Due respect.
Let's hear from Balozi.
Sorry.
Let's hear from Balozi. We'll come to you. Okay. Right, Balozi.
You must allow me to repeat what I said. And I'm being very honest, I've not heard about some of these running mates, if you want me to tell you the truth. Because my concentration has been on a practical point of view. Yeah. You see that we are going to elections, and I know, as I'm sitting here, that there are 2 running, there are 2 main rivals in this. That's it. And one has to be practical because politics is about being practical. And people are going to listen to the president and to Right Honorable Raila Odinga debating issues because they know that these are the leading candidates. Now, if 1%, somebody has been trending at 1% for the last 1 year, and is a running mate or is a presidential candidate, I mean, what is this for? What is this platform for? Is it for exposing people for the future? You know, there's a chance of them being presidents in the future or running mates in the future, or is it about the current election? Because this is not what Shem Ochuodho said. It cannot be an incubation situation, you know, where you're incubating future leaders. This is about the present, current and present. We want to know who is likely to be, who is able to articulate issues about the presidency in our country and what it is about. If you ask me, and I'm sure Shem Ochuodho is a very close friend of mine, who will allow me to say this, that frankly I cannot remember the debate he says he participated in as a running mate in the past. And I can't remember.
Because you knew also he was a running mate?
He said he was a running mate.
You've just known today?
Now I can now remember vaguely, you know, now that he says so. But in truth, you know, in truth, I can now come back vaguely.
Right.
But you see, and he knows it. Maybe his name became more known, but it cannot have made a real impact on the elections for that year. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So for me, it's about being practical. It's about issues, and this is why I said that I believe these debates are very, very paramount. Because they are structured, because they should be, let me use this word, they should be structured, they should be professional, and like Agnes Zani said, in my view, they should be free, not necessarily that you're being asked this, that you already know the questions you're going to be asked. A presidential candidate needs to understand issues.
Yes.
Issues, you know, that are being raised because all of them pertain to the nation that they propose to lead. So for me, it should be, in fact, it should be something coming out and them being asked, what is your view about this? You know, what are the facts and figures?
Thank you.
But if you structure it, maybe anybody can do it. Maybe even I can go back and read and get the facts and figures and come and give them out, because it's possible for anybody to read the figures and understand them.
Right. Let's close it with you,
yes,
Dr. Shem Ochuodho.
Just a clarification. For me, it's not, I'm not talking about incubation. That's not the point. For me, it's an issue of rule of law, which is supreme. The law clearly says there must be equity and equality. Having said that, I fully agree with the organizers in the circumstances. At one point, I thought Professor was contradicting himself. Maybe I didn't get him right. But I think the structure, the kind of two-structure arrangement that the organizers have today in the circumstances, that's the best that could be done. In the situation where at 5:30, they have the so-called fringe candidates, and then from, I think, 8 o'clock, they have the two so-called leading competitors. But we tend to forget very fast. You know, today you are a fringe party, tomorrow you are a major party. But if we uphold the Constitution and constitutionality and the rule of law, that gives space for all. And I think the arrangement that the organizers have put in place for me is acceptable.